Hello and welcome to my podcast, Become. My name is Sabine Kvenberg and I am your host. The content will inspire you to reach your aspirations and become the best version of yourself. I feature interviews with successful individuals from various industries delving into their personal and professional journey, how they overcame adversities and the strategies they used to achieve their goals. We have to become the person we are meant to be first, so we can live the life we are destined to live. That also means we must overcome challenges and work through difficult times to learn, grow, and become the next, more fabulous version of ourselves. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get on this journey together. Hello, and we are back to a new show here on Become. And today I'm so excited to have Mark Barnes with me, who is the co-author of Hacking Life After 50. And since I am in that period after 50, I'm so excited to hear and learn more about it. But before we go into the details, Mark, why don't you give our listeners just a short background of who you are and what you do?
Well, Sabine, I appreciate you having me on. I would have never guessed you were in the after 50s world. You look fantastic. So I don't know if I believe that. I'm my background's in education. I was a teacher for almost 25 years, and I taught in the classroom in public schools at middle school level, high school level. I taught a little bit at the college level, teaching teachers. So that's my background. And almost a decade ago, I left teaching because I started writing about teaching and learning and, how to help teachers be better at what they do, which ultimately helps kids. Started a publishing company, and we've been doing books about teaching and learning in our very popular Hack Learning series for, again, nearly a decade. And we have a format that is really about problem solving, this Hack Learning, we call it. And it's about, identifying problems under a bigger topic and then talking about how to fix them in sort of a unique lens, looking at them in ways that a lot of people don't. We're not big fans of the 5-year plan. Not that that's not important in some cases, but we want to provide right now solutions, things you can do tomorrow. So the books were very popular, and we said, what? We can take this problem-solving formula and we can offer it to people who aren't teachers and school leaders. And that got us to calling our series sort of a spin-off, Hack Learning Life, which is, we're solving life's problems. Or we're not solving them, we're helping people solve problems. So I have a good friend and co-author, James Sturtevant. He's written books for us on the education side. He's a lifelong teacher. And he and I started talking about health and fitness and well-being and longevity. We've got grown kids. He's got grandkids. And we said, we want to live a long, happy life. And we started sharing ideas of what we did. And next thing you know, we came up with so many ideas and so much research that he said, hey, we should maybe put this in a book. And I said, we want to do Hack Learning Life. What if we did Hacking Life After 50? And we're sort of on this journey. And, I know journey is a word you use a lot in your show. And I love that because we're on a journey to live to a healthy 100 and beyond. A lot of people think that's crazy. A lot of people think that's crazy. So that's where we are.
I don't think it's crazy at all. The matter of the fact is, when you listen to people, and believe me, I listen to a lot of people that I've interviewed who are my clients. It's all about the quality of life that they want to enjoy. And you only can do this if you take responsibility for your own life, for your own actions that will lead you there. A lot of people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 3 or 5. But with that said, what I love, what you do in your books is giving them solutions that get them from where they are now to where they want to be a month, a year, or 5 years from now. Because you have to apply solutions right now. So tell me, with your publishing company, you started in the education field, but now you're expanding. Do you write all the books yourself, or how do you get other people involved?
Yeah, no, I've actually written, this is the second book for Times 10 Publications, my company that I'm a part of. I co-authored the first book we ever did 9 years ago. It's called Hacking Education. So, as I said, my background's in education. A good friend of mine, also teacher and researcher, and now writes all about education. I said, hey, let's do this book where we're going to help teachers solve problems. We did that for a long time, and what I did in the beginning was really went out to my community. During my time as an author and a blogger and a teacher, I started building a social network, and I got very active on social media, engaging with other educators. So that turned out to be a really nice pipeline for us to people who are doing unique things in education. So, I had a friend who was doing some alternative assessment and really de-emphasizing the traditional grades in classroom. And I said to her, hey, we've got this new Hack Learning series where we're providing unique solutions to people. What do you think? So, we did hacking assessment. And, then I found someone else who was doing some cool things in math, and we did hacking mathematics. And anyways, that went on, and we've done 35 books in that series now for teachers and school leaders. We like the format so much, and our readers love it. I mean, readers have told us the fact that you have in every chapter a section that says what you can do tomorrow. We love that. But then, you talked about building out those habits. We have another section that we call building momentum. So here's a simple solution you can do tomorrow, but if you like that and you want to make it habitual and build it out, you go to the building momentum section, and we've got that for you as well. So we love the popularity of that and what we're doing, and we're helping people solve problems. I always say we don't really solve the problem, but we give you steps to help you do it. So that got us to this new, Hack Learning Life series. We said, let's just stretch this out. And instead of, I think teachers and school leaders will love the books in the Hack Learning Life series. We're doing Life After 50. Well, a lot of educators are in their 40s and 50s and beyond. So we just said, let's just take this and apply it to other things. So we're doing a lot of books now around health and fitness and longevity. We're doing some stuff in the business world, and we're excited about it.
A lot of listeners would like to get a few of those hacks that you want to share. But before we go there, have you had in your life a time that was challenging, that was really difficult, but you kind of pushed through, you worked through, and you came out on the other side as your next greater self?
Yeah, absolutely. And I talk about this in Hacking Life After 50. We share a lot of our own stories and stories of other people as well that have had these things, these obstacles that they've had to overcome. So in my 30s, when I was a classroom teacher, one night out of nowhere with no trauma or anything of any kind, I had a seizure. And I was diagnosed with epilepsy, which seemed really strange. I was, otherwise I was fit. I wasn't in the best shape back then, but I was, I didn't have any diseases or anything that I knew of. And I said to a neurologist, how can I have epilepsy? And, I don't have to get too deep into that, but the bottom line is it can happen without trauma or anything. So, over the years, the epilepsy is a very difficult and challenging, disorder. There's tons of different medications, and, the goal is to stay seizure-free. So I've been on tons of different medications, and it's been a real struggle. They come with, things like a lot of it is emotional and mental, and the medications can make you irritable. They can help, interfere with your focus and your concentration, which is tough when you're working. They come with, increased appetite, weight gain. So I was dealing with this for a long time, and when I actually got close to 50, I started, my kids were growing up, and I thought, boy, I want to live a long life with my kids. I want to see my kids grow old. If they have kids, I want to be a grandparent. There's so much in life I want to explore, and I felt terrible. I I was overweight. My concentration was a mess. I was irritable all the time. Not fun to be around. And you know what? I decided I had to make some changes. And that's when my research, I was always a researcher as a teacher. And how can we make teachers better? How can we make kids better? So I took those skills and said, how can I make me better? And, and along with some help from doctors, in steering me in certain directions. But most of the changes came from my own research, reading books, watching videos, getting into social media groups, talking to people. And what I learned is I didn't eat right. I didn't hydrate nearly enough. I didn't sleep well. And, I didn't do anything to help me emotionally. And suddenly I said, I got to change. I got to start making changes. And when I did that, everything changed for me.
According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, heart disease and stroke are the leading causes of death in the United States, claiming the lives of over 655,000 people each year. That's about 1 in 4 deaths. Well, the good news is that heart disease and stroke are largely preventable by making healthy lifestyle choices, such as eating a healthy diet, getting regular exercise, and regular checkups. The fastest, easiest, and most cost-effective way is via Lifeline Screening. I had my screening this year, and I'm glad I did. The screening is non-invasive, simple, but accurate. It can give you early warning signs of blockages that, if untreated, can lead to stroke or heart attack. Don't wait. Schedule your Lifeline screening for peace of mind. Simply click the link in my show notes and schedule your appointment today.
I changed my diet. I changed the way I hydrate. I got intentional about sleep. I started meditating, deep breathing, all of the things we talk about in Hacking Life After 50. My co-author Jim and I both practice, and they make a difference.
I can second that because I always lived a pretty healthy life, but until I really started to make this shift in applying, and that is important because sometimes we know, but we don't apply, right? What I believe is it all starts really in the young age. We are more aware of it when we get to that stage in our lives. We say, "Ooh, wait a second. Life is not forever. How can I extend it? How can I make it better?" Right? When we are 20, 30, we don't think about this stuff. But I think it is even more important to educate the young people. It should start in school. So here is my question to you. What I love is the question that you ask yourself: how can I make me better? Now, I would like to extend a question here, especially to you who has been an educator. How can we help the young people from a young age to be more aware of that without preaching?
Yeah, I love the question, and I also like the added without preaching, because young people especially don't want to be preached to or at. Yeah. They don't want to listen to that. Mm-hmm. One of the toughest things as a classroom teacher is getting kids to listen to what you're saying and to believe in the message that you're sharing. And, there's a whole lot of strategies that I've learned over the years to make that work. Some of those I think we're applying in our after 50s life. And what we have to do more than preach is we have to model. So what I'm a big believer in is you live the life in front of the younger people and you talk about it, but you without the preaching. You just talk about it. I have young adult kids. My son's in college and he's going to be 21 soon, and I have a 19-year-old daughter, and they see me and they see my wife, who are people who are dedicated to health and fitness on all ends, the physical, the emotional, the mental. So they see the way we live our life. we don't have to really preach it that much. We do talk about it. They know what I do. They know I write about it. Now they see me doing interviews like this and talking all about it, and they're listening to those. So I think that's important. We talk a lot about sharing with the younger generation. A lot of after 50s and well into the after 50s, they lose their sense of purpose. If you're retired, if you're an empty nester, a lot of times it's like, well, what am I doing now? I don't have anything because we live so much for work and for parenting and grandparenting. So we talk a lot about that and to say, you still have an important purpose. And a part of that is sharing all of your knowledge and experiences over life with that younger generation. So we're big believers in talking about what we do and modeling what we do. And when young people and see me and the way I live, I've had friends who knew me back when I was 30 pounds heavier, when I didn't do anything right physically or emotionally, and they see me after years and go, wow, you're like a different person now. What happened? Well, that's a nice opportunity to talk about the journey.
Yes, I can't agree more. Because when we show up as our best self, when we show up walking the talk, people notice. And then they come up to us and ask. That's when we can respond and make a difference this way. I love what you said, being the role model also for your kids. And I have been thinking about that in many different ways because I work with entrepreneurs. I always pursued my passion. And that's the first indication of using your talent. If you're passionate about, love what you do, then you are on the right path. But as we grow, we also then discover really what is our purpose. And it brought me back when you said being a role model. When I had my performing arts school, my husband and I started it, and we both were teaching in it. And we made such a positive difference in kids' lives by just using the passion and giving them an outlet to do what they love to do, and then modeling that and feel good about themselves. And I think this is missing in our society today. So I think if we can do more of that, we can make a bigger difference. So let me ask you this, Mark, with your publication company, if one of our listeners listened to this interview and said, you know what? Yeah, I have knowledge. I have my wisdom and I wanted to share this. Can they collaborate with you, or do they have to send it a full book? So how does it work?
Wow, I've done so many of these interviews recently, and that's the first time I've gotten this question. And I got to be careful because I can just talk about it forever.
I will stop you because we have a time limit here.
Right. We might need another episode, Sabine. We might have to have another episode. But in short, yes. The short answer is yes to your listeners. And again, we started at Times 10 Publications doing books for teachers and school leaders, and primarily what we call the Hack Learning series. We have extended that format to what we now call Hack Learning Life. And on our website, and you can link to it in show notes, and I'll just say it, it's the number 10, publications.com. 10publications.com, right at the top, we have a Write for Us button. So anyone who says, wow, I like this, and I have solutions to problems that I think I can share. I have experiences that would broaden people's horizons. And again, help people solve problems. That's our key, right? Help people solve problems. We do how-to. We just do it in a different way from most other publishers. But we do how-to. If you have that, hop over there, click on Write for Us, and there's an outline for how to do it, how to send us a proposal. And it doesn't take a ton of time. We don't ask to send us your book. We say, what kind of idea do you have? Let's talk about that idea. And we've gotten so many authors that way. So, wonderful. Yeah, I love it.
Wonderful, wonderful, I'm sure. So Now, let's get back to the one question that I wanted to ask you at the beginning. And you started sharing already some of those during our conversation. But if you could give our listeners like the one or two or three things that they can do right now that already would improve their life, what would that be?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And, again, I said that the bedrock of the Hack Learning format is in every chapter, a section called What You Can Do Tomorrow. So we identify a problem, we give a solution, and they say, here's how you do it. So I'll give you one. I talked about me as an example, how I changed my diet was a big one. And it's not a diet book. We don't talk about fads. We don't vilify people who have certain habits. But what we do is we say our research, and a lot of it's from the medical field, tells us that if you eat 80%, if 80% of your diet is healthy, mostly plant-based, things that grow in the ground, not processed, if 80% of your meals are that, then there's room for the pizzas and the burgers and the chips and whatever else you like in moderation. Mm-hmm. So that's one. Look at your diet. We say do an assessment. Assess yourself. How do I eat? That's what I did. When I was carrying around 30 more pounds on my body. Imagine putting a 30-pound backpack on and walking around all day with that. That was tough. And I said, hey, I need changes. So, one of the first things is go to your cupboard, find the things that are bad for you. And we talk about those in Hacking Life After 50, but most people already know. Pick one thing and get rid of it. Start with one, because habits have to start small. It's key. I'll give you another one. We have a whole chapter that we call Recharge, one of my favorites. And I mentioned this earlier too. I got very intentional when I was in really bad physical and emotional state about sleep. I used to think sleep was not important. And in fact, the problem we identify is that sleep is underrated in society and really in the world. So we talk a great deal about sleep. We share some of the research behind sleep from the greatest organizations in the world, and we give what you can do tomorrow things. So if you're someone who doesn't sleep well, first of all, find out if you're getting good restorative sleep. If you're in bed for 8 hours and you say, well, I get 8 hours of sleep, that's not necessarily true, okay? And I learned that the hard way. I learned it. So, look into wearable technology, the wrist watches, Fitbit or whatever. Mm-hmm. There you go. The Aura ring. See, I'll show mine too. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of it out there, and they're fairly inexpensive now. And you get your wearable tech, and you get an app that goes on your phone or on your laptop, and it will measure. They have biotechnology, biosensors. It will measure your sleep, and it'll tell you how much deep sleep you got, how much light sleep you got, how much REM sleep you got. And this is really important, and you need 7 to 9 hours. And in Hacking Life After 50, we have very good steps. Again, small incremental steps for how to do it. So there's a couple right there, a little bit about diet. We call it mastering meal planning. We're not big fans of the word diet.
Right. Really, diets don't work. It's a lifestyle change. That's the only solution, really, for the long run. But what I liked that you said, just change one thing. Everybody can do this. Take a look in your cupboard and see, is it processed? Is it not good? Take out one thing and don't buy it again. It's so simple and it's not expensive. Same thing with sleep. Sleep doesn't cost anything, but it's not as easy to do everything at once, one step at a time. And I love that. Wow. So much great information, Mark. I really, really enjoyed our conversation. And I see you here in front of me, and you look fabulous. You look great. And I have no doubt that you will live beyond 100.
Oh, I like to hear that. Thank you. It is a great conversation, Sabine. I've enjoyed it, and I'm really excited about Hacking Life After 50. I hope your listeners will check it out. After50slife.com. It's that simple.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark. Have a wonderful rest of the day. that was my interview. And if you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. Thanks for listening. Until I see you again, always remember, serve from the heart, follow your passion, and live the life you imagine.